Patrick McNeil back here with you at the intermission, and joined now by Halifax Mooseheads 19-year-old forward Markus Vidicek. Markus, who missed the last 2 games for the Mooseheads due to a suspension. Markus, how excited are you to get back into the Mooseheads lineup?
I'm super excited. We have almost all our guys back now, so I think it'll be really fun to have everyone back and get things going again.
And we talk a lot on the broadcast about the rivalry between these two teams. Being a Moosehead in your 4th season, how much do these games against Cape Breton mean?
They're everything. It's provincial kind of battle between us, and since my 16-year-old year, it's been like this, and it's awesome every game that we play.
Certainly one of the biggest moments of your career comes against Cape Breton, because your first ever goal in the Q was at Center 200 against William Gamar and the Cape Breton Eagles. What do you remember about that goal? I
kind of remember just getting it on, I think, the left flank and shooting it across net. That's mainly what I remember of it. It was awesome. 16, I think it was one of my first games, too, in the league. So I think it was definitely a moment I'm going to remember for a while.
And still have the puck, I assume.
Yes, I do. Back home.
Of course. Big year for the Mooseheads last year. You do come up short, but you have a tremendous run to the final. You end up losing in 6 games to the Quebec Rampart. Just tell us about the group you had last year, just how exciting that run was for the Mooseheads.
Last year was unbelievable. We had such a great group of guys. We were super close as a team and obviously super offensive. And with Lawrence and Doucette and Dumais all putting up 50-plus goals. And then guys like Leher, Boucher, Attilio, all those guys are gone, but they added so much depth for us. And last year was definitely an awesome year, but this year back to square one, and we got to do it all over again.
We were talking before recording about how because of your suspension, you end up missing games for the first time in over 180 games. You're second all-time in consecutive games played by a Moosehead, which is impressive given how long the team has been around. What has been the key to your longevity and just staying in the lineup?
I think just being consistent with everything I do. I've obviously been fortunate enough with whatever injuries I've had. But yeah, I think just being consistent and not worrying too much about the next game, just being in the moment every single day. I think that's kind of worked for me.
You had the opportunity to attend Arizona Coyotes training camp in 2022. I'm sure there was some disappointment about not being drafted, but you do get the opportunity to go to camp. Just tell us what that experience was like.
It was awesome just being in a pro environment with a bunch of pro guys and guys that have been drafted. And there were also some invites there too. So I think just the whole experience was really, really eye-opening. I learned a lot from it. I think just making me a better hockey player.
New coach in Halifax this year as Jim Midgley comes back behind the bench for the Mooseheads. 3rd coach you've had in 4 years with the Mooseheads. Do you think it helps maybe a little bit to learn from different coaches? And do you have a feel yet for what a Jim Midgley team looks like for a player?
Yeah, you take different things from all different coaches, and with the coaches we've had in the past, I've learned things from them, and with Jim this year, I've already learned new things with him being our coach. I think this year we're just going to be a really hard team to play against. Defensively, I think we're going to be really strong and really gritty, and I think if we just stick to our game plan and trust what Jim has for us and what our coaches are saying, I think we're going to be a really tough team to play against.
Now, I love asking the Quebec guys about this. The International Pee Wee Tournament in Quebec City is such a big deal. And you, Markus Vidicek, get the opportunity to play in that as a Montreal Canadien. That was the name of your Pee Wee team. Just tell us how exciting that event was for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. You hear about it as you're going up to Pee Wee, and being fortunate enough to represent the Canadians in the tournament and be a part of it was surreal. They have the tradition of the pins and trading your pins with all the other teams, and you got a bunch of collectors there, and it's just a really cool experience. You're so young playing in the Videotron Center, and it's a sold-out crowd almost every single game. It's just an awesome experience as a little kid, and I think a lot of little kids that go through there remember it forever.
Pretty cool for sure. We were talking about looking through the Mooseheads record books. I know you're up there in terms of shootout attempts as well. What is it about your hands that makes the coaches want to put you in for a shootout?
I don't know. I think I'm a skilled player, and you work on it after practice, and I think I've just been fortunate enough to have different moves and what I can do, and I'm fortunate enough that they give me the opportunity to put me out there.
Find yourself wearing an A again for the Halifax Mooseheads. Just tell us what that responsibility means to you, and especially, I guess, with some of the guys that have left the team in the last year, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I learned a lot from our captain and assistants last year. This year, doing it all over again. We have a lot of new guys to the team, a lot of young guys, and I think it's just an extra responsibility, kind of showing them the ropes and leading by example for them.
Halifax had a very special start to the season because Nathan McKinnon gets his number retired. As a player on the current Mooseheads, what is that like to be standing on the blue line and be on the bench for a ceremony like that?
It was amazing just seeing him in person. He talked to us before we played the game, just celebrating him and what he did for the Mooseheads. It was just a really cool experience, and the fans got to enjoy it. I guess the only bad thing about the night was that we lost and didn't play up to our full potential, but it was just a really, really awesome night seeing him and hearing what he had to say about his memories in juniors and seeing his number go up in the rafters.
We look at your game, of course, big offensive contributor to the Mooseheads, well over a point a game last year. If somebody hadn't watched you play before, how would you describe Markus Vidicek as a player?
I'd say I'm just a two-way forward, skilled. I can score goals, I can make plays, I'm responsible defensively. I think just all those things kind of make me an overall complete player.
Well, fans in Halifax certainly enjoyed that the last few years and will continue to do so this season. Best of luck, Markus. Thanks for this.
Thank you.
That is Halifax Mooseheads forward Markus Vidicek joining us at the intermission. You're listening to Celtic Kubota, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.